The wind over the red dunes of Calvega carried the scent of rust and fire, remnants of a war that had long since ended. Seris moved through the shifting sands, her spear gripped tightly in one hand, her other shielding her eyes from the twin suns. She had spent 7 years in exile, wandering from world to world, but something had drawn her back to this cursed place. A whisper in the void. A name spoken in the quiet of her mind. She paused at the edge of a ruined city, its blackened spires jutting from the sand like broken teeth. Calvega had once been the heart of the resistance, but in the final days of the war, the Dominion had burned it to the ground. She had buried many here. One grave had meant more than the rest. Seris's throat tightened. She knew it was madness to hope. But something, some impossible force, had led her here. She adjusted the strap of the old satchel slung across her shoulder and stepped into the ruins. The sand crunched beneath her boots. A voice called her name. She froze. It wasn't the voice of a scavenger or a ghost. It was a voice she knew as well as her own. Seris. Her spear trembled in her grip. She turned. And there he was. Rale. He stood between 2 fallen pillars, his dark hair tousled, his expression calm. His gray military coat was faded and torn, but it was the same one he had died in. The same coat she had folded over his lifeless body before she buried him beneath the ruins of the command center. Seris's breath came fast and shallow. She took a step back. "You're dead," she whispered. Rale's lips quirked in something like amusement. "I was." Her grip tightened on the spear. This wasn't possible. She had watched him die, felt the warmth leave his body as she cradled him in her arms. The Dominion's plasma rounds had torn through his chest. He had gasped her name before the light in his eyes faded. And she had buried him. But here he was, standing before her as if death had been nothing more than an inconvenience. "How?" she demanded. His expression darkened. "I don't know." To the breach in reality. Seris circled him, keeping her distance. The spear in her hands was steady now, ready. "Tell me what you do remember." Rale frowned, glancing at the ruins. "I remember the final battle. The Dominion broke through the gates. We were outnumbered. I remember covering your retreat." He met her gaze. "I remember dying." Seris swallowed hard. "And then," she pressed. He hesitated. "Then nothing. Until now." That wasn't an answer. That was a mystery wrapped in something worse. She gestured at him with the tip of her spear. "You don't just wake up after 7 years. There's no body for the mind to return to. No heart to restart." Her voice was tight. "So what are you?" Rale flinched. Not at the accusation but at the weight behind it. "I don't know," he admitted. Silence stretched between them. The wind howled through the ruins. Seris exhaled sharply. She had seen horrors in the war. Machines that walked like men, weapons that tore holes in the fabric of space. But this. A man pulled back from the grave with no memory of how. "This world is broken," she muttered. Rale tilted his head. "What do you mean?" She gestured around them. After the war, the Dominion abandoned Calvega. But something was left behind. There are stories about time slipping here. People disappearing, strange lights in the desert. She met his gaze. "Maybe the past isn't as dead as it should be." Rale looked down at his hands. "You think I'm a fracture? A ghost of some broken timeline?" "I think you shouldn't exist," she said bluntly. Rale huffed a short, humorless laugh. "Tell me something I don't know." She lowered the spear. "Barely." "Come with me," she said. "There's someone who might have answers." 3. The war surgeon. They found him in a bunker beneath the ruins. Dr. Alt his was a war surgeon once, a man who had patched up soldiers with metal and code when flesh failed. Now he lived among the wreckage of the past, studying the wounds left in reality. When Seris told him what had happened, he listened carefully. When she showed him Rale, his pale, wrinkled face grew tight with concern. "This isn't resurrection," Altis said at last. "This is something worse." Rale crossed his arms. "Comforting." Altis ignored him and turned to Seris. "You said time is fractured here. I've been studying the anomalies for years. They aren't just distortions." He hesitated. "I believe something pushed through from outside our reality. When the Dominion deployed their weapons in the final battle, they might have torn something open." Seris felt her stomach turn. "And Rale?" Altis glanced at him. "He might not be the Rale you knew," the doctor said carefully. "He might be a version of Rale pulled from another timeline." Seris's grip on the spear tightened again. "Or," Altis hesitated. "Or he might be something wearing Rale's face." Rale exhaled through his nose. "I'm standing right here." Seris ignored him. She stared hard at Altis. "Can you prove it? Can you tell me if this is my Rale?" The doctor hesitated. "There's a way. But you won't like it. For the truth beneath the skin." They gathered in the bunker's cold laboratory. Rale sat on the examination table, his hands gripping the edge. Seris stood a few feet away, the spear never far from her hand. Altis activated the scanner. A pale blue light flickered over Rale's form. Then alarms blared. Seris snapped forward, her spear up. "What?" Altis stared at the readings, his expression grim. "His cellular structure is decaying. He's not stable." Rale's breath hitched. "What does that mean?" Altis met his gaze. "It means you weren't meant to exist here. Whatever force pulled you through, it's already unraveling." Seris felt her chest tighten. "How long does he have?" she asked, voice quiet. Altis hesitated. "A few hours. Maybe less." Rale was silent. Then he chuckled. "Figures." Seris's throat burned. She forced herself to speak. "There has to be a way to stop it." Altis shook his head. "I'm sorry." Seris clenched her jaw. After all these years, after mourning him, burying him, was she meant to lose him all over again? She turned to him. "What do you want to do?" Rale looked at her for a long moment. "I want to see the city one last time. The final goodbye." They walked together through the ruins of Calvega as the suns dipped toward the horizon. "I don't want you to watch," Rale murmured. Seris swallowed. "You don't get to decide that." He smiled. Still stubborn. She exhaled, shaking her head. "You died in my arms once. I won't let you die alone." Rale's form flickered. His hands trembled. "Seris." She turned to him. His gray eyes were steady. "Thank you," he whispered. Then his body shimmered, light fracturing, breaking apart like dust caught in the wind. And he was gone. Seris stood in the ruins of the past, alone once more. But this time she didn't have to bury him. This time she let him go.